1. So I'm spending my usual Saturday morning at the aquarium, preparing to facilitate amazing memories for ungrateful flogs, while my mates are hungover, sleeping or out to breakfast. No worries, but I love my job and I swim with sharks instead of writing spreadsheets. As we pick up our customers and talk them through the paperwork, I notice a big fat yes on a form. Asthma. Here we bloody go. So I've noticed you wrote yes to asthma. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, I got asthma from time to time.
When did you last use your puffer?
2 months ago, but it's under control.
Okay, gesturing him aside so I don't announce all this to the group. So asthma is a really tricky one, because it can be brought on quickly by high pressure, cold air, which is what we'll be diving with today. People who haven't had symptoms for long periods can suddenly have episodes or even attacks.
Well, that won't happen to me.
Well, see, we don't know that. And through meeting specialist dive doctors, they recommended getting a proper dive medical if you've had asthma symptoms within 10 years.
No, that won't happen to me. It'll be fine.
See, once again, we don't know that, so I can't allow you to dive today. But you don't lose anything, and we can just reorganize for another day after you get the medical.
No fucking day is convenient. We've come all this way. There's no way I'm not doing it. Just tear up the form, I'll do another.
I'm sorry, mate, this info was made available to you before and when you booked. And I can't just pretend I didn't see something this serious. I just can't let you dive today.
Well, let me speak to someone who fucking will.
There are 4 dive instructors. We decide together if someone's okay, and if one of us says no, no one can go over our heads. So, I'm the man in this scenario. We radio DM. She dances over cheerfully. How can I help?
Yeah, I want to fucking speak to someone who's gonna let me dive.
DM explains that she, and no one, can force me to take this bloke, but she can organize rebooking or a refund.
I don't want to rebook. I came from an hour away to dive. Who's gonna let me? I don't even have asthma.
I almost cackled at that. They always change their mind and say they don't have it. DM leaned back away from him. I explained again that we can easily change the dive to another day, but today ain't it. Finally, he seems to back down a bit.
I need to decide what we want to do.
To DM, he then says,
Go, get away from me.
And he turns to me.
You two, go.
He shooed me away, the absolute skid mark of a man. I think I just said, plah, or some other gibberish. I stepped back and knew it was all worth it for this.
This is utter bullshit. They've ruined your birthday.
Dad, are you serious? You're ruining it?
The son had his head in his hands at his manlet of a father's bullshit actions. 2. So I own a few franchises, and one of my franchises includes a Dunkin' Donuts here in Los Angeles. When I started my Dunkin' Donuts franchise, we'd often get a frequent customer named Bill. Bill's a nice guy, and he's around 62. I found out he's homeless and he's going through financial hardship. I can relate a bit because, you know. I was born and brought up in poverty. There would be days as a child where my family didn't know whether we could have a meal tomorrow. It was sad times, but I'm glad my dad gave me the best education he did, and because of that education, I'm financially well off. I don't have to worry about money for me, my kids, or my dad. Back to Bill. Now, since Bill is a nice guy, he never causes any trouble, and he's so positive and kind, loving. So then I told Bill to come at closing time around 9 p.m. At closing time, we don't have any customers and are half opened. We don't make any fresh donuts, and we turn off most of the lights, etc. So it doesn't look open, but for Bill, it's open. Every day at 9 p.m., Bill comes in. We've been doing this for a few years. I hand him a couple of water bottles and all the leftover donuts, a cup of coffee, leftover snacks, to make sure he isn't hungry. He always loves the food, and when I hand him the food, he becomes so happy, and it makes me happy that I'm able to help him. Yesterday, we're doing the same thing, closing the store down, etc. Bill comes in at 9 p.m., I hand him the food. Then an entitled mother with her kid walks into the store. It's closing time. My employee asks her what she'd like. The EM looks to the left and sees that I'm handing the donuts and food to Bill, and then I greet Bill goodbye and give him a hug and tell him goodnight. EM quickly stops Bill at the door and then says,
Wait, hold up. You didn't pay for this, you stole this. I'm gonna call the cops on you.
I tell Bill, it's okay, man, it's fine. You can go, take care. I'll deal with this. EM starts yelling at me and telling me that she's going to call the cops on me because I gave free donuts to Bill. She then proceeds to tell me that I'm not allowed to give free food to homeless people. It's true that I'm not allowed to, but it's Bill. He's cool and it's just free food to help him out, and it's my store anyways. Her kid keeps yelling,
"Mommy, I want donuts, I want donuts, I want donuts!"
on and on. EM then demands I also give her entitled kid free donuts too, because I gave free food to Bill. At that point, I just lost it and told her to get out of the store before I call the cops on you for trying to harass Bill and me. Then she leaves, finally. You know, this is like the first time I've seen a person who would have a problem with a homeless man getting free food. Like there have been other customers who've seen me hand food to Bill before, and they don't say a word. But first time I've had an entitled mother get mad at me for giving free food, and then demanding that I give her kid free food. Like the entitlement. Goddamn. 3. So my friend and I decided we would head to the local ski mountain for a day of winter fun. At the time we were 16. We took the tram and got there pretty early. We both love to ski, so we wanted to get in a full day. We start off with a few normal runs, nothing out of the ordinary. When we go into the lodge for some hot apple cider, we see a lady, our entitled mother and her son, causing a ruckus at the cashier. But we don't pay any mind to them. After a few more runs, we get into line for the lift to the top of the mountain. There aren't really any beginner-friendly trails down, and it's mostly adults and teens in line. We notice that the EM and EK are in the line next to us for the same lift. The worker says to her, "Excuse me, ma'am, I notice that you have your child with you. This lift takes you to some pretty extreme trails. Are you sure he can handle it?" For skiers, the only trails down were blues and blacks. EM gets visibly enraged and retaliates with,
"Excuse you, how dare you judge my son's skiing abilities based on his age?"
The worker, probably tired of people like her, just walks away. Now EM and EK get on in front of us. When they get ready to go on, EK is visibly stressed with the lift. For people who don't know how they work, look it up. It definitely can be intimidating for kids. The standard routine is for the lift workers to slow down a bit so the kid can sit down. They do this to the dismay of EM. As they start to ascend, she looks back with rage in her eyes and flips them off. Meanwhile, my best friend is laughing hysterically. Because this is the top of the mountain, it takes a while to get there. I and best friend are talking about whatever, but keep getting distracted. EK is rocking back and forth and causing all the carts to shake. I guess what the workers do in order to combat this is to slow the ride down. They put it at like 20% speed, and the lift takes 5 times as long. Everyone who could see EK and EM were upset and yelling at them to stop. EM said in response,
"How dare you yell at my son? He's doing nothing wrong, and you're just throwing a fit."
Even after people explain to her what he's doing, she does nothing to stop it. Finally, we get to the top. The lift worker up there pulls EM and EK to the side and talks to them. I and my best friend only hear because EM is shouting, "Ma'am, we have received complaints about your son causing disruptions to the other skiers and snowboarders. Please parent him so the day is more enjoyable for everyone." EM huffs off after, back and forth, and takes her son down a black fucking diamond. This is the hardest level of trails at this mountain, and in fact, one of the hardest trails there. We go down the same one and see something quite funny. EK is hysterically crying, with both skis 3 feet away. I guess he hit a mogul and couldn't handle the air. Surrounding people are coming to help EK, but EM is hissy-fitting at them about how
"He's perfectly fine, thank you very much."
As me and my best friend pass, we slow down. "Do you think we should help? He looks pretty torn up," says my friend. With the slow lift, no way. Best friend actually tries to go and help, but to no avail. I also may or may not have sprayed him with snow powder when I went down. The pièce de résistance is when we get to the bottom of the next run. We see EM and EK going into the lodge, with fury. I found out through my friend who works there that she talked to the manager, but after getting told it was her fault as a bad parent, she left. We had a pretty fun day overall. 4. It was a warm, sunny day, so we had taken Frisbee, my dog, for a walk to the local park, not too far from our house. As we were finishing our walk and about to take a short break at the playground before heading home, we walked by a couple also walking their dogs, two very big but extremely friendly Rottweilers. Lady compliments that Frisbee is very cute, and we go on our ways. So we're just relaxing and playing now. Me, Carito, my younger brother, Vivi, my youngest brother, are sitting at the bench nearby as Molly, my sister, is playing chase with Frisbee in the background. When we notice a mother, a Karen, and her kid, walking at a distance. Luckily, neither of them notice Frisbee, as this story would have turned into those Karen tries to steal our dog stories. Her EK is screaming, running around throwing things and making a lot of noise. We just ignore him since he's not bothering us and not hurting Frisbee. After a few minutes, we see him disappear down the trail, where we saw the guy and lady go with the Rottweilers. So we decided, hey, maybe it's time we head home in case our parents start worrying about why we're taking so long. We hear a loud scream followed by some barking from the direction of the trail. We see the EK is now running, crying, and has some scrape marks on his arms, legs, and face to Karen. Karen, who wasn't paying attention up until that point, is asking the EK what happened, and we hear,
"Their dogs chased me and knocked me over."
The first thing Karen does is look in our direction and storms over screaming.
"How dare you send your dogs after my son?"
Ma'am, we didn't do that. Our dog's been on her leash the whole time, and your son was over."
"Don't lie to me. My son just told me. Your Rottweilers chased him and knocked him over."
"What Rottweilers? We don't own Rottweilers. We have a Yorkie
"I saw your Rottweilers when we got here. That's why I warned my son to stay away from you." "Where are you hiding them? I'll make sure they get put down for attacking my son."
"Ma'am, I'm trying to explain that we don't have Rottweilers, but you're not listening to me." Karen spots a police patrol car driving by and waves him down because, naturally, he gets out of his car to investigate what's happening, while EK is still crying off to the side.
"What's going on over here, and why is this child crying?"
says the officer.
"These brats sent their aggressive Rottweilers after my son and knocked him over. I had to throw myself in the dog's path just to save my baby's life, or he would have been killed. And all he asked was to pet them."
We all look at Karen dumbfounded because not once did EK even notice Frisbee, nor did he come in our general direction. Luckily by now Molly had walked over, carrying our aggressive Yorkie poo Frisbee over. The officer stared at Frisbee for a minute before asking,
"Where are these supposed Rottweilers that you sent after her son?"
"We don't own Rottweilers, our dog is that one," I point to Frisbee, "and she's a Yorkie poo."
"Don't listen to them, they're hiding the Rottweilers around the corner at that trail behind them,"
pointing at where the EK was at. Right then, the guy and lady kinda come sprinting out of breath down the trail, and the officer calls them over. Karen immediately starts backing away screaming,
"There! That's the aggressive beast that attacked my baby!"
"Ma'am, please calm down and allow me to figure out what happened. Excuse me, are you the parents of these kids?"
he says to the guy and lady.
"No, we aren't. We just happened to see them as we're taking our boys for a walk." "So they're not your kids. I'm assuming by boys you own these dogs."
He turns to us.
"And you kids were just taking your dog for a walk."
The couple and us all respond yes.
"They're lying to make it look like they don't own the beasts."
Officer gives her another warning look, which silences her, before turning back to us.
"Where were you when her son supposedly got chased and attacked?"
We were at the playground, and the EK was running around by the trail before he disappeared down the trail and out of sight. We were planning on heading home when we heard him screaming and running back out. The lady then says, "He was screaming because he saw us started throwing sticks and rocks at our boys, causing them to get defensive and bark at him. When he got startled, he turned and tripped before running back here. I ran over to make sure he wasn't hurt, but our dogs were too startled and I had to help calm them down before we arrived."
"Okay, thank you. Wait here."
He turns back to the Karen.
"So, ma'am,
"Are you going to have their beasts put down for attacking my baby?"
not until I ask you a few questions."
"But my baby was attacked. Why am I being questioned?"
"Because from what you claimed of the dogs attacking your son, doesn't add up to what they just told me."
"That's because they're lying so their beasts don't get put down. Look at my baby's arms, legs, and face. That's all bite marks from their beasts attacking him."
"Ma'am, those are scrape marks from him tripping. I can tell the difference between bite marks and scrape marks. Now tell me where you were when your son supposedly got attacked."
Karen points to the furthest point of the park.
"I was enjoying the shade over there."
Then why was EK over on the trail unsupervised and not with you?
Well, I didn't know they brought their beast with them. Otherwise, I'd tell them not to go over there.
I thought you said you wanted to pet their dog before they sent their dog to attack him, and you jumped in their path to protect him.
Yeah, but that was after he ran away from them and the dogs followed him to where I was at.
Basically, Karen was trying to say that EK had managed to run to her for protection, and she scared the Rottweilers back to the guy and lady while still claiming that we own the Rottweilers. The officer clearly wasn't convinced and allowed us to leave, while making sure Karen and EK didn't try to follow us. We never saw Karen or her hobgoblin again afterwards. We did thank the officer the next time we bumped into him, while taking Frisbee for a walk, and occasionally the guy and lady. 5. I went to the US for a 1-month visit. I am American, just not living there at the moment. It was our time to leave, and it was me, my mother, and my toddler brother. We were going to take business class, but it was full, so we ended up in economy. Now, economy on said airline is crazy. The parents don't give a shit about their kids and let them wreak havoc. This is kind of a 2-in-1 story, so here goes. So I already knew this was going to be a bad flight. The entitled parent, entitled boy, and entitled girl 1 were sitting behind us. They were children and did what children do. Side note, I had brought along snacks from a store the day before traveling. Carefully picked, since the country I'm in limits export, and with COVID, it's almost impossible to get any sorts of food from outside. Retail in Bradfords. I was tempted and opened a bag. They were pretty large bags. I had downloaded some movies, since it was a pretty long flight. It was a one-way 14-hour flight, so it was going to be pretty long. I put on my headphones and watched my movie. As I'm watching, the entitled parent is calling me. I couldn't hear because of the headphones. She then starts to tap me. And this is getting pretty ridiculous. Entitled boy and entitled girl 1 aren't shutting up. One of them is crying and kicking my chair as he cries for some chips. And entitled girl 1 is another matter. I take privacy and personal space very seriously, and I was already annoyed. I just wanted to enjoy my movie. I asked her what it was she wanted. She said, she wants just 1 piece of chips. I know she's just saying that, and it ain't 1, that's for sure. I knew that. I just wanted to get rid of them ASAP. The entitled parent is in the seat next to the entitled boys, so from between the spaces I bring the bag closer, and the entitled boy reaches for some. He takes a handful. Then the entitled parent takes a handful so large I noticed and was surprised. At first I thought only she had, then I looked back to see that he had taken 2. I stared at the woman, not happy at all. I won't take them back since they've already had it all over their hands, and I regret it. It was the most dumbass thing I've ever done. She later asks for some more since the boy won't give his sister some, and obviously I downright refused. She mumbled something about me being a greedy guy, and that I should share more or something. At this point she was getting on my nerves. Eventually I got pretty tired and slept. I wake up to the kids eating from my bag. I realized that I dozed off and ripped the bag out of their hands. Hell ensues, and entitled girl 1 starts screeching. Her mother wakes up. Then promptly ensues a dialogue from her like some sort of maniac, demanding I give my own snacks back to her children. She calls in airline staff saying I took her kids' shit, and I spill my story to them. They tell me off, saying they're just kids and let me off with a warning, which is pretty stupid. This time I put my belongings in my backpack, ensuring they don't lay their grimy hands on my stuff. I then went back to sleep. I wake up to entitled girl 1 and entitled girl 2 from a neighboring section, jumping up and down in the walkway. I could hear the boom echo in my head, and entitled boy starts screeching again, crying about other shit. An entire band of fucking kids who don't know how to shut the fuck up, and a bunch of no-shit-giving parents. I was gonna explode. So I complain to the airline staff, and a bunch of others kick in and start saying that she isn't shutting her kids up. She tries blaming it on me, saying that I didn't take care and nourish her kids with my food. They make her and the kids go to the back of the plane, which is kind of empty. Now we can finally relax in peace. Once the plane landed, I remember her passing by, since she had left her luggage above us. She started giving me dirty looks and shit, saying that I need to grow up and learn to respect my elders. I don't know which universe this woman and her children came from. As I left the plane, I remembered I had left the bag of chips inside the seat pocket, since I had taken it out later to eat. I had lost a $7 bag of chips that I'll never see and eat in another year. Fuck you, EP. Fuck your kids. And fuck Entitled Girl too. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to the Impractical Proudness of Parents, iPop number 61. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. If you enjoyed the video, then please do boop the like button and leave a comment. And if you haven't done so already, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe. Okay, let's see, where are we? Okay, we do have a little birthday shout out today. Today's birthday shout out goes to Mama T. Now, unless you specifically tell me to mention your age, I'm just going to leave people's ages off because you never know. But happy birthday to you, Mama T. Also, their younger brother's birthday today as well. But happy birthday to you, and thank you very much for sharing your paranormal story. And I hope you have a lovely day. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mama T. Happy birthday to you. And also a quick thank you to everyone who sent in birthday requests and anniversary requests and such. I've got them all saved, and I'm saving more as they come in, and I'll do my best to make sure I get them done on the right day. I do check the folder before I do my outros now. It's just kind of become part of my recording process, so hopefully none get forgotten if I keep remembering to do that. Okay. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.